Level 1. The Recruit. You are 18 years old, living in a quiet, forgotten corner of a small American town. Every day looks exactly like the one before it, and every day makes you feel invisible. You clock in at a fast food counter under buzzing fluorescent lights, counting hours instead of living them. At night, you sit at the kitchen table, staring at bills you can barely cover. You watch a recruitment commercial flicker across an old television, and something in you sits up straighter. Your father asks quietly what you plan to do with your life. You don't have an answer yet. You look at yourself in the bathroom mirror and wonder if you're strong enough for anything at all. Late at night, you find yourself scrolling through a military recruitment website, unable to look away. You open a laptop browser and start reading, really reading, for the first time in months. You pick up the phone and call the number at the bottom of the page. Your hands are shaking. Outside the recruiting station, you hesitate. Then you push the door open anyway. Inside, a recruiter in a crisp uniform shakes your hand and asks why you're here. You sign your name on a form you don't fully understand yet. You stand in a gym, staring at a fitness chart, wondering if your body can handle what's coming. A doctor listens to your heartbeat and marks a box on a clipboard. You sit at a school desk again, filling in answers on a test that will decide your path. In the waiting room, your leg won't stop bouncing. You raise your right hand with a small group of strangers and repeat words that will change your life. At the bus station, your mother holds you longer than she ever has before. Your father grips your hand and says nothing, because there's nothing left to say. On the bus, you watch your hometown shrink behind you. At the gate, you look up at a sign that reads like the start of someone else's life. Row after row of plain barracks buildings stretch out in front of you, and none of it feels real yet. A supply clerk hands you a stack of uniforms and tells you to move fast. In the barber's chair, your hair falls to the floor in clumps, and something old falls away with it. You place a folded uniform on a thin mattress that is now, somehow, yours. You meet the strangers who will become your squad, trading nervous names and nervous smiles. You stand in a crooked line outside, trying to hold a posture you don't understand yet. A drill sergeant's voice cuts through the morning air, and you understand, for the first time, exactly how far you are from home. Level 2. The Private. An alarm tears through the dark barracks before the sun is even up. You run in formation down a dirt track as the sky turns from black to grey. Your arms shake through another set of push-ups while a drill sergeant shouts inches from your face. You claw your way over a wooden wall taller than you expected, muscles burning. You crawl through mud under a maze of low ropes, breathing dirt with every gasp. In a classroom, an instructor walks you through safety procedures you're expected to memorize by heart. You stand at the firing line, steadier than you thought you'd be. You march in formation, boots hitting the ground in perfect rhythm with everyone else's. A drill sergeant inspects your uniform down to the last thread and finds something wrong anyway. He flips your mattress onto the floor because your corners weren't sharp enough. In the mess hall, you eat fast because there's never enough time to eat any other way. You collapse to your knees after a run that felt endless, lungs burning. You and your squad carry a log across the field together, cursing under your breath and laughing anyway. At night, you navigate through the woods with nothing but a compass and a small flashlight. Rain turns the training field to mud, and you push through it anyway. On the barracks steps, you and a squad mate laugh quietly about how far you've come. You wrap a blistered foot with tape, wincing, and get back up. A sergeant gathers you all before an exercise and tells you exactly why this matters. At night, you write a letter home, trying to explain a life your family has never seen. You wait in line for the payphone, counting the seconds until it's your turn. You climb a thick rope toward a platform that seems impossibly high. You stand outside a gas chamber with your mask in hand, trying not to think too hard about it. You swim across a pool in full fatigues, lungs screaming, refusing to stop. You stand watch alone at night, more alert than you've ever been in your life. You catch your reflection in a barracks mirror and barely recognize the leaner, harder person looking back. You stand taller in formation now. Something in your posture has changed for good. For the first time, they put you in charge of a small drill, and you don't fail. Your team finishes the obstacle course together, and the high fives feel like something you earned. You stand on the parade field in dress uniform as new insignia is pinned to your chest, and somewhere in the crowd, someone is proud of you. Level 3, the deployment. Your first deployment orders arrive, and you pack your gear with hands that have finally stopped shaking. You sit strapped into a transport plane, engines roaring, carrying you somewhere far from anything familiar. The plane's doors open onto blinding light and a base that looks nothing like home. You help raise tents and set up equipment, learning your new world one task at a time. In a briefing tent, an officer traces a route across a map, and you memorize every line of it. You walk patrol through quiet streets, boots against unfamiliar ground, senses sharper than they've ever been. A local shopkeeper nods to you as you pass, and you nod back, grateful for the small, ordinary moment. In the mess tent, you laugh with your unit over bad food and worse jokes, and it feels like family. You stand watch as the sun sinks behind the horizon, the sky bleeding orange over sandbags and wire. In an instant, a distant flash and a low rumble change the air around you completely. You sit against a wall afterward, hands trembling, breath ragged, trying to remember how to be still. You kneel beside a wounded friend, keeping your voice calm even as your own hands aren't. That night, you write home, and for the first time, you don't know what to say. You watch the sunset alone, and something in your eyes has already started to change. You ride in the back of a convoy truck, watching the land roll by, saying nothing. At a checkpoint, you wave a vehicle through with a calm you had to learn the hard way. You help unload crates of supplies, grateful for the simple weight of ordinary work. On a rare quiet evening, you play cards on an ammo crate and let yourself laugh again. Your unit gathers in silence as an officer reads a name none of you will forget. You stand before a simple memorial of boots and a rifle, and you understand finally what this costs. You tighten your gear the next morning anyway, because there is no other direction but forward. In the debrief tent, an officer nods at your report, and something in his approval steadies you. A commendation ribbon is pinned to your chest, and it feels heavier than it looks. You read a letter from home, and the distance between your two worlds feels wider than ever. On a video call, your family's voices come through a screen that keeps freezing, and you both go quiet. You walk back through the busier part of the outpost, nodding to soldiers who have started to feel like brothers. You crouch beside a newer recruit and say the same words someone once said to you. At dusk, you stand alone at the outpost fence, changed in ways you can't yet explain. You stand at the gate in full gear, weathered and resolute, ready for whatever comes next. Level 4. The Sergeant. New stripes are pinned to your sleeve, and for the first time, other soldiers are counting on you. You brief a group of young soldiers, and you can hear your old drill sergeant's voice in your own. You lead a training exercise, watching your soldiers make the same mistakes you once made. A hard decision falls on your shoulders now, and everyone waits for you to make the call. You kneel beside a struggling recruit, giving him the patience someone once gave you. You call home, and the call goes straight to voicemail again. Back home, your wife sits alone at the dinner table, one chair across from her still empty. A video call cuts out mid-sentence, and you're left staring at a frozen, unfinished face. You walk the line during inspection, checking gear with an eye that misses nothing anymore. You lead a patrol through open terrain, alert in a way that has become second nature. At a crossroads, you weigh two hard options, knowing there's no option that costs nothing. You kneel with your squad after a loss, comforting a younger soldier who can't stop shaking. You read a letter from your wife, and worry runs through every line of her handwriting. In the mirror, you notice your eyes look tired, in a way sleep can't fix anymore. You find a few gray hairs at your temple and don't know when they arrived. You brief your formation with real authority now, and they listen without hesitation. Other sergeants make room for you at their table, and you realize you've earned your place. Alone on your cot at night, you sit with your gear and your thoughts, and neither one is quiet. On your phone, a photo of your child's birthday party sits unopened for days. Late at night, you do paperwork by lamplight, too tired to notice how tired you are. You mentor a young officer candidate, passing on lessons you're still learning yourself. A senior officer shakes your hand, and you can tell he's noticed you. In an office, a superior asks if you're ready for more responsibility. You say yes before you're sure. At your desk, you glance at a small framed photo of your family, and the longing catches you off guard. You stay calm through a training accident, giving orders while everyone else panics. You lead your squad through tall grass at dusk, thinking of home even as you focus on the mission. Over a lantern-lit map, you plan tomorrow's briefing, alone with the weight of it. Your soldiers glance at you with something close to admiration, and it doesn't fill the space it should. At your family's front door, you and your wife sit in a silence neither of you knows how to break. Level 5. The Officer. You walk through the gates of officer training, duffel bag over your shoulder, starting over one more time. In a classroom, an instructor writes the word leadership on the board and asks you to define it. You push through a brutal physical course alongside candidates who all want what you want. Late at night, you sit surrounded by open books, studying long after everyone else has gone to sleep. In a tense evaluation, you stand shoulder to shoulder with rivals who used to be your friends. You lead a small team through a timed exercise, and your orders come out sharper than you expected. New bars are pinned to your collar, and pride and pressure arrive at exactly the same moment. You look down at the insignia on your uniform, unsure if you're ready for what it means. You give your first briefing as a commanding officer, and the room goes quiet to listen. You give an order, clear and firm, and watch a platoon move, because you said so. Alone in your office, the weight of command settles onto your shoulders for the first time. You review a report late into the night, rubbing your temple against a headache that won't leave. At dinner with your wife, the conversation stretches thin and finally breaks apart. Alone by a window at home, she sits with her arms crossed, tired of an empty side of the bed. Your child hides shyly behind their mother when you kneel down to say hello, and it breaks something in you. You work at your desk long after midnight, papers stacked higher than you can finish. You mentor junior soldiers with a patience you didn't know you still had. You address a unit struggling with morale, and somehow your words land exactly right. Your troops nod to you with real respect now, and still, you've never felt more alone. On the phone, your wife's voice is quiet and careful, the kind of quiet that means something is ending. You lie awake in your quarters, staring at the ceiling, replaying the call over and over. You hold an old photo of yourself as a nervous young recruit and barely recognize the man in it. After a successful operation, other officers nod their approval, and it means less than it should. A senior general pins a medal to your chest, and you thank him with words that feel far away. In a doorway, you and your wife argue quietly, both too exhausted to raise your voices anymore. In an office, a superior asks if you're ready for higher command. This time you hesitate before saying yes. You stand before younger officers, handing down lessons that cost you more than they'll ever know. Alone at a window at dusk, doubt finally cracks through your composure. You stand in your uniform, resolute but visibly worn, carrying more than rank on your shoulders now. Level 6, the commander. You stand before an entire formation, and your voice carries with an authority you didn't have to force. Around a tactical table, senior officers wait for your word before they move. You walk the line during inspection, sharp and commanding, and no one dares meet your eyes for long. Alone at a window, you look out over the base, and the weight of it all presses down harder than ever. At the head of a table, you make a call that will affect people who will never know your name. Late at night, you hold your phone, hesitating before you dial a number that used to feel like home. Your estranged wife's voice comes through cold and distant, and you let the silence sit there. You walk through a hospital ward and stop beside a recovering soldier's bed, saying nothing that needs saying. At a memorial, you speak in front of rows of soldiers, and your voice barely holds steady. At a podium, you answer questions with the same composure you've worn like armor for years. You sit with young officers, passing down everything the years have cost you to learn. You eat dinner alone in a quiet mess hall, and the silence has become almost comfortable. On your desk, a photo of your family sits behind a stack of reports, and you can't remember the last time you looked at it. A wall in your office holds medals and photographs, a whole life reduced to frames and ribbons. A senior general shakes your hand and calls you one of the best he's seen. You nod and feel nothing. Fellow commanders greet you with respect in a formal hall, and you belong there completely now. Young soldiers watch you with something between admiration and quiet fear, and you've stopped minding which one it is. You push through exhaustion at your desk because stopping has never once felt like an option. Alone in the dark, doubt finally catches up to you, quiet and unwelcome. In the mirror, deeper lines and graying hair remind you exactly how much this has cost. You kneel beside a struggling young soldier and see, for a moment, exactly who you used to be. On the phone, your wife's voice softens, just slightly, and something between you loosens for the first time in years. Alone on the empty base at dusk, You finally let yourself think about the whole long road behind you. A difficult mission ends successfully. Your unit's safe, and for once the relief outweighs the weight. You read a private letter, and a small, rare smile crosses your tired face. You walk through the quiet base at night, footsteps echoing louder than they should. You look up at a clear night sky full of stars, and for a moment, everything feels still. You lead an elite training session, and the young officers watching you take note of every word. Alone at the center of the empty parade field, powerful and completely isolated, you understand the price of everything you've built. Level 7, the General. General's stars are pinned onto your shoulders, and the weight of them feels different than any rank before. You stand before a formation stretching farther than you can see, and every soldier in it is watching you. An entire unit snaps into a single, unified salute, and for a moment, you let yourself feel it. Your office is lined with flags and honors, proof of a life you once couldn't have imagined. You sit with senior officers, mentoring them the way you once wished someone had mentored you. In a formal hall among the highest ranks in the military, you speak, and everyone listens. Alone in your office at night, success sits quietly around you, and so does everything it cost. You hold the old, faded photo of yourself as a nervous young recruit, and finally, you smile at him. You stand at the edge of your old neighborhood, looking at the modest house where all of this began. On a porch, you sit beside an aging parent, and for a while, neither of you says anything at all. In a quiet living room, you reach out your hand to your estranged wife, and she takes it. Your grown child finally runs towards you instead of away, and you kneel down to catch them. You kneel beside a nervous young soldier and give him the same words you once needed to hear. The nation's highest honor is placed around your neck, and you think, briefly, of everyone who helped carry you here. You stand before a formation of new recruits and tell them the truth about resilience, without softening any of it. In full dress uniform, you stand taller than you ever thought a person could stand. Before an enormous flag, your silhouette looks like something out of the recruitment posters you once watched on an old television. In a quiet garden behind the officers' quarters, you finally let yourself rest. In a tall mirror, you look at a man who no longer resembles the frightened boy who first walked through those gates. Beside a small display case, your first recruit portrait sits next to your general's portrait, and the distance between them says everything. From a high vantage point at sunrise, you look out over the base that shaped you. On a porch swing, you hold your wife's hand, and the forgiveness between you needs no words. Beneath a sky full of stars, you stand steady, strong, and finally, at peace. You read a letter from a soldier you once mentored, and pride replaces every doubt you've ever carried. Trumpets sound as you stand before one final formation, dignified and complete. You walk down a long line of soldiers, saluted by every rank, and let yourself finally accept it. Your family gathers proudly around you at a formal ceremony, and for once, you are entirely present for it. In a quiet moment alone, strength and peace sit together on your face for the first time in years. At the top of the base steps, you look out over the horizon, no longer the weak boy who once wondered if he was strong enough. Now, you sit alone in a quiet room as the screen in front of you finally goes dark. You hold the old photo of your younger self a little longer than you meant to. In a completely different American city, the streets are unfamiliar, and the story is only just beginning. In a small apartment, someone new stares at a recruitment ad on their phone, hope flickering across their face. They stand outside a recruiting station, hand reaching for a door they haven't opened yet. Their face sets with determination as they step through the door, and somewhere the cycle begins again.